you're doing, and just see the way I do it. I'm going to make a cylinder. In the front viewport, starting out from the center, I click and drag. When I let go, I can move my mouse up and down to make the cylinder height. Once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a thin blade sitting on top. I drag out a box. Once I'm done, I move my mouse back and forth, up and down, to make my box. I'll keep saving this because it might just crash. The next thing I do with the box is I'm going to give it some segments in the length. You can see I got more segments. Now you might know, many of you, that the garage rollers, they have got bent portions, they have segments, and that's why they roll. If it was a rigid board, it wouldn't roll, right? So you need polygons. You will see when I bend it. So if I press the bend modifier and I go Y, you can see that bending. If I go back to box and I remove the segments, if I remove the segments, see, it doesn't bend. Yeah? So I'm just going to take the bend out for now. So I've got this, right? To create that fan I'm showing you, so create this fan, I need two things. I need to taper it a bit. I'm going to taper in Y, and you can see now my fan has spread. Can you see that? The blade has spread. I'm going to move it in front and rotate it, because the fan blades, I'm going to rotate it. I moved it in front in this view, rotate it in this view, because fan blades, they are at an angle, aren't they? Yeah. And then I'm going to give it a bit of a bend. Then I'm going to give it a bit of a bend. Again along the Y axis. So you can see there's a bit of a bend there. See that? Now with the bend, I want to now rotate it. But before I rotate it, I'm going to change the pivot. Can you see the pivot is here? If I rotate it, it will rotate about this point. The third thing is hierarchy. This third button here, I can say affect pivot only, and I'm moving my pivot to the middle of the cylinder, and then I turn off the pivot. What I'm doing next is I'm going to take this guy, press rotate. I can choose angle snap, and I'm pressing the shift key, and I'm going to rotate it by 60. And when it says number of copies, I'm going to say 5. Bang. That's my fan, guys. So, I mean, if you do this one, I'll give you one model, okay? Because at the very least, you're sort of learning through the tutorial. And all 5 of your assignments, you can follow tutorials step by step at a Cert 3 level. If you can follow a tutorial, you're learning the software, you're learning modeling techniques. Now, just for the outside, what I did was, I created a rectangle from the center. So I just drag out okay. I'm going to pause this one. So for the outside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle under create 2D shapes. I'll draw a rectangle. I'll go to modify and just change its width to 200 by 200. I'll give it a, actually I'll make it 300 by 300. I'll give it a corner radius of 20, so it's a bit rounded. And I'll put its XY position as 0, so it's in the middle. Next, what I'm going to do is I'll make a circle in the middle to punch a hole, but I have to turn off this thing here that says start new shape. Then the circle that I make will be a part of that outer shape. Now these two are one shape. And now if I go to modifier and I apply extrude and give it an amount of extrusion, you can see I got my outside parts. Yeah, I can go to scale and just scale it a bit. I click in the middle. If you want to scale uniformly, click in the middle. So it's scale X, scale Y. This is scale XY. But in the middle, it goes uniformly. So there I scale it uniform and I have my fan. Okay. You can play with materials. I use compact mode. It's easier for me. Compact mode was the original mode. You can use the slate mode if you like it. So this one I'm just going to give it a plasticky thing. I'll leave it at blend. I'll give it a dark black color. I will increase the specular level, give it a bit of a shine, and I will select all of these and apply. So now when I render it, you will see it renders like a black fan. So I'm going to stop the recording here.